Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, aka Daniel Coon, back with a new video. So I went to a gun buyback. There was a gun buyback being hosted at this church in off Broad River Road in Columbia, South Carolina, and I've seen plenty of videos and pictures of other gun buybacks in different places, different parts of the country. People bring, some church, some police department hosts this event, and people bring in guns of all different types to trade in for a gift card, some type of prize, and the guns are either they're either auctioned off, which I've heard some instances either auctioned off, but more likely they get destroyed. And there are generally people there who bring some money to see if they can convince the person who's bringing something to bring in a perfectly good tool, even if it's broken, it can still be worked on. They try to talk these people into sell it to them, give them some cash so they can get it and potentially hold on to it and maybe restore it so that it doesn't end up in a scrap pile. And that's what I thought about doing myself. I hope you guys like my rinky dink sign that I made a couple hours before the event, and it's in the thumbnail. I made that sign. The gun at the bottom is not a gun that I saved. That's actually my that's my Remington Model 11, the Defender. The one I did a little series on. I was taking that to the range to go test fire, and I decided to go to this event before I went. Before I went to the range, and then one thing they were offering this at this event. I'll now include a link to the article in the description box. They were doing it was like $50 gift cards for any working gun that a person brought in, no questions asked. The gun had to work. It was specified in the article, and so I decided, it was on a Saturday, and I said, I'm gonna go to this thing and I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna see if if they're only offering $50 gift cards, I gotta bring a couple $100 just to see if I can change someone else's mind. Really, I didn't want, and really the thing is, I didn't want anybody giving up their gun. I didn't want them to take it there to get destroyed. I actually would, if I couldn't buy it, I was gonna try to at least talk them out of doing. Well, I'm gonna reverse that. I was gonna talk them out of doing it. If I see something that was nice, if I could talk to somebody, but if they were adamant about getting rid of it, I said, well, let me buy it off you. That way it doesn't get destroyed. It'd be in the hands of someone who would more or less take care of it. And the one thing I thought was funny was that this thing was, they were only giving $50, but I'll get into that point. I'll get into the money point in a little bit. But I was going to tell you, share how it went. So I made the sign. I went there. It was on this church's property. It was pretty big. I had to drive maybe a quarter of a mile down this road, and there was this civic building all the way in the back where it was being hosted. And I went there like maybe an hour after it started. I didn't see a lot of cars there. I didn't see many people walking from the parking lot there. But I parked my truck. I said I'm gonna leave my sign, and I'm gonna leave my pistol in the truck because I don't want them to think that I was gonna get rid of my piece. I wasn't doing that. But I decided to go, and there was Richland County Sheriff Department was actually helping with the event. There was a deputy watching the door, and he had a mask on. A couple other guys, I guess, who were members of the church, they had a mask on, except for one guy. And I spoke to the guy who didn't have on a mask, and I introduced myself. I said, I never been to my name's Edward Jones. I've never been to a gun buyback. I've seen articles and videos about them, and he explained to me what the gist of what it was for. He said it was primarily it was to get guns off the street, which I never liked that. I never liked that phrase because these guns weren't on the street. These guns were actually in people's homes. I think that, and the idea is that we get these guns out of people's homes so that they don't get stolen. And used against someone else, so it's like to make the people who bring them in feel safe. I think it's kind of silly because even if you didn't have a gun in your home is still getting broken into, which either they have a gun in there or not, it still sucks, especially if there's a home invasion. I think it would actually pay to have a firearm in your home during something like that because they can get pretty ugly pretty quickly. But that aside, I just listened to what the guy said, and I just I talked about. I've seen a lot of old guns get brought to these. I've seen a lot of guns brought to these. You have to consider, I said, what happens after this? They get destroyed. And he said they get destroyed. I asked him, you ever considered, auctioning them off? Because it's a shame that you take something that maybe it's worth more than $50. And he said, no, our goal is to get them off the street. Okay. I explained that that they can be it makes no sense to destroy them. They can be resold, even if they were like caught in a house fire or something like that. They still are pretty viable. I explained that I was a welder and I work with a lot of metal, and generally the metal is still. I've seen pictures of guns. I've been in house fires. It's still there's still key components that actually are still good, are still viable, even if other smaller parts have to be replaced because of damage from the fire. But not really. They didn't really, the guy. He said, I saw it in his face. So I made a good point. But still, they were still doing this event. And so I asked, if I can stand out here to just observe, see what people were bringing in. And the guy seemed to, he wasn't quite sure if I can do that. He said, I don't know if you could. I don't know if we're allowing that. And he asked me to direct me to the deputy. I asked him the same thing, and he said, no, if you're not bringing a gun here, we can't let you inside the building. I said, mind if I stand here just observe what people bring in? Because I told him that, I hate to see, this is how he pretty much figured out why I was there. When I said I hate to see, old guns, especially old shotguns, which is something I'm a collector of. See them get taken in and get destroyed. He said, no, we're gonna have, we're not having people outside here, we don't want anybody getting hassled for what they're bringing in. They're just gonna bring it in, you get a gift card and they leave. I was like, oh, all right. And and I figured at that point I wasn't gonna go any further because I didn't want to ruffle too many feathers, especially on private property. So I told the guys, I hope you guys take care. And I got my truck. And I was like, oh, I didn't get to use my sign. I can't really use it away from the building because the way the property is set up, there wasn't enough space for me to actually park the truck somewhere close by that people who are bringing anything in would see. Whether I was going to stand out there with a sign, maybe I had more people with me. That may have been different, but I figured it was a solo thing. So, I guess I'll pack it up, and go on to take care of the business. A couple of things. Now the data was held, and this is what I was saying about the $50. I think these. Well, first off, I think these things target poor people because only poor and uninformed people. Because I think only a poor and uninformed person would think that $50 is a good deal for trading in any gun at this event. And in one article, I'll try to see if I can find two articles, but one article actually said they only got 40 guns, which is good. That means that people are wising up to that kind of schemes. Like $50 for any gun brought in, I think it's that's peanuts. Which was funny because that same day there was a gun show at the fairgrounds. So really, those same people could have just brought their gun to the fairgrounds, and if it was a thing of they just wanted some money, they could have brought their guns to the fair. They could have brought it to the gun show, and potentially gotten 3 times more than what that church was offering, and turn a profit. In a sense. But no, I think these type of events target poor people. I really think that there's an effort to. I think there's a concentrated effort to disarm poor people, and that's been going on for a long time. Many of the gun control laws from the past, it's easy to say that they're racist, which I'll get into that point also. It's easy to say that they're racist, but really they're classist because there's always a money thing that was tied to it was always something where like a $200 tax for the National Firearms Act or Saturday night specials under the Gun Control Act of 1968. They're needing training, needing to pay for a permit, things that cost money, things that would actually deter poor people from owning and carrying firearms. So I always thought that was I think that's the case with a buyback, where you would, you know, offer like cents on the dollar for a tool that should be worth a lot more. You give it you're trying to draw in people who don't know any better to get rid of a perfectly good tool to get destroyed. Another thing, and going back to the race matter, this was hosted by a black church, and I think that's strange that a black church will want people to be disarmed, especially poor people to be disarmed, when there seems to be this whole rhetoric of defunding the police, or rather poor black people being targeted by other individuals for abuse. It doesn't make any. There's no sound. There would be no sound reason for a black church to host such an event, especially after what happened in Charleston at the Charleston church a couple of years back, where you had someone come in, Dylan Roof came in with a gun and shot a bunch of unarmed parishioners at a black church. So they figured they're going to go with the angle of, black people need to be, they need to be fearful of, they need to be alarmed about, these armed white racists in the country. Wouldn't they encourage more people, especially poor black people, to be armed? That wasn't the case. That didn't seem to be the case. And actually, I had to call a buddy of mine. Shout out to 803 Satellite Shooter. I called him, and just to tell him what I witnessed, and he basically, what I'm saying, he said the same thing back to me, that there's a way of disarming poor black Americans. It's just another form of gun control. But it's targeted towards those who seem to be easily controlled, easily steered a certain way by particular institutions. One institution being the black church, which has done a lot of damage to the black community, I would say, which is very unfortunate. But that was my experience with this, going to my first gun buyback. I think it was I'm glad to hear they only got 40 guns. Hopefully, many people who did have any guns they want to get rid of, they went to the gun show instead, where they would get a lot more money. Or hopefully there are people who saw that this whole thing was a bad idea. This is stupid, and I'm gonna keep my gun, because the criminals aren't gonna give up theirs. And so I think it's a. So I think it was just an interesting experience. Please tell me if you guys went to a gun buyback. Share your thoughts in the comment section or make a video. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help out with the channel, just go to my YouTube homepage. Look for the Give Up That Cheese button. Take it to PayPal. All donation amounts are appreciated. Any gripes, complaints, send me a PM. I'll see what I can do to address them. But that's my video. Went to my first gun buyback. I'm Edward Jones, a.k.a. Daniel Coon. You guys take care, be safe, stay strapped, and God bless.